In the tapestry of the human experience, every thread tells a story. Some threads are woven with challenges that remain hidden from the naked eye. Such is the story of CASK, a rare genetic disorder that touches the lives of a select few, yet leaves an indelible mark. Across the globe, families grapple with the daily realities of CASK, realities that are as complex as the disorder itself. From the hopeful eyes of a child taking on the world to the determining spirit of parents and caregivers. These are the stories of courage, resilience, and unwavering love. Today we journey alongside such families, offering a window into their world. Through their lenses we'll witness the highs and lows, the struggles and the triumphs, and the shared dreams of a brighter tomorrow. This is Life with CASK.
My fears, to be honest, is something that I think about every night. I grapple with the haunting question of who would look after her if I was to pass away prematurely, or the flip side, which is a real possibility, that she may die before we do. I'm Jovi, a mother of two beautiful children, Aidan, who is 8 years old, and Angelina, who is 7 years old and has CASK gene disorder. Life before Angelina took a different path. I once envisioned myself as a career-focused lawyer and thought that I could balance motherhood and my profession. However, when I was 32 weeks pregnant, my life changed forever. One of the most challenging aspects of our day-to-day is hearing Angelina's crying and screaming that can last up to 20 minutes. My hopes for Angelina is that she continues to progress every day, and that one day, if we have a treatment, she'll be free from the disorder, free from having to attend therapy daily, free from seizures, free from medical appointments, and be able to just live like every other child.
Right, your pH is done, mister. That's your clonidine. That's your gabba gabba. Gabapentin. Hello, I'm Liz and this is Henry. Henry is our gorgeous 2-year-old boy. Henry has CASK gene mutation, which was diagnosed at about 4 months old. Since having Henry, our lives have completely and utterly changed. We were not prepared to have a child with such severe and complex disabilities. This is a non-invasive ventilator, which is helping to open his lungs more than his natural breathing does. This is a nebulizer, and in this pot here is some saline, which loosens the mucus in Henry's chest. You can see he's starting to bubble up here, so it's coming out. Henry can't cough, and because he doesn't sit up and because his swallow isn't very good, he's at risk of his mucus and the secretions going into his lungs, which could cause an infection or pneumonia. You might be able to see that Henry is fed through an NG tube. He can't tell, but he can't sit up. He can't hold his head up. He doesn't really open his hands. So there's lots of things in terms of his mobility and his gross motor skills that are just completely different to what you'd expect a 2-year-old to be able to do. But this little boy has taught us resilience and just positivity, because he honestly never gives up, and he has achieved so many amazing things in his very short life. We were told it would be unlikely that he wouldn't make it to his first birthday, yet here he is. We've spent weeks and weeks, months and months, to be honest, in hospital with chest infection after chest infection. We're waiting for him to have open heart surgery on a hernia, and then to have a feeding tube placed in his abdomen as well. So life is tough, it is hard, but it is worthwhile because of the just amazingness of this little boy and the community of other CASK mums and dads, obviously, and other parents out there with children with complex needs too. It's amazing to find your tribe.
My daughter Sarah is 6 and she has a CASK gene mutation. She has a deletion in her CASK gene, and although she's 6, she can't sit unaided, she can't walk, she can't talk, she can't really communicate in any way other than by laughing or crying.
Wonky Donkey had a child. It was a little girl. Oh, oh. She was so cute and small. She was a Dinky Donkey.
She tends to not really make any eye contact, so it's quite hard to know what she's taking on board. And she suffers from epilepsy, and she also lost the ability to feed when she was about 2 or 3 years old, so she now has a feeding tube. When Sarah was first born, I thought she was absolutely fine. We'd had a really difficult time in the year coming up to her birth because my father died of pancreatic cancer 2 months before she was born, and all I wished for was to have a healthy baby. However, at the 6-week check, we went to see the GP, and he noticed that her fontanelle, the soft spots on her head, he couldn't feel them. So we were sent to see a paediatrician, and they agreed and were quite concerned and said it looked like the soft spots had fused. We had to wait for an MRI to have a look at her brain, and the MRI showed that she had a condition called pontocerebellar hyperplasia, which means that the pons in her brain are small and her cerebellum is small. And then we had to wait for about 9 months to get the actual genetic cause of the PCH, which we were told was a CASK gene mutation.
The CASK gene found on the X chromosome is responsible for producing a protein, vital for brain development and function. A mutation in this gene leads to a spectrum of neurological challenges.
Angelina has absence seizures where she just disappears from this world momentarily. But in doing that, she could injure herself, making it impossible for us to let our guard down.
From issues with muscle coordination to intellectual disabilities, the effects of CASK mutations can vary, painting a unique picture for each individual. For most, it means challenges in communication and motor functions, whilst for some, it also means seizures, swallowing difficulties, and life-threatening scoliosis.
When she was born, Sarah didn't have any epilepsy, and actually she only started with seizures quite soon after we got the official diagnosis of CASK, so when she was about 1 year old. I think she was actually 13 months old. I remember it so well. I was sat on the telephone actually to one of my good friends, and I think she must have been on my lap, and I suddenly felt like she moved in quite something that just felt like a really abnormal pattern. And then she did it again, and I said to my friend, I said, I think Sarah's moving really weirdly, I think it might be a seizure. And my friend said, put the phone down. phone an ambulance. I didn't know what to do, because it wasn't the kind of seizure that you see on TV, but there was definitely something going on. So the aim of CASK Research UK is to accelerate a pathway to a treatment or a cure if possible, by funding, research, but also collaborating with scientists at different institutions, making them aware that CASK actually even exists, getting their interests, and just generally working together with our partners all over the world to try and find a treatment for our children.
Right. What have we got here? We've got some blocks.
What inspired me to become involved with the CASK Research Foundation was meeting Laura. She's not only Sarah's mum, but she's passionate, intelligent, and a determined advocate in the rare disease arena.
CASK Research is a fantastic organisation that's bringing together families. Chief Executive Laura is working really hard to bring people together and to get funding so that children with these problems can have a better quality of life, and we can really move things on in terms of the treatment. It also enables families to come together and feel that they've got some support, that there's other people out there with similar problems, which I know families find really, really helpful.
As I got to know her, I realised that we shared the same goal in mind, to find a treatment for CASK and ultimately a cure.
It's a group of foundations around the world, including France, Australia, America, and here in the UK. And the aim is for us all to work together, collaborate, share ideas and share resources in order to keep pushing for that treatment.
My name's Professor James Hodge, and I'm a Professor of Neuroscience at the Department of Physiology, Pharmacology and Neuroscience at Bristol University.
My name's Katherine. I'm a consultant paediatrician specialising in neurodisability, and many of my patients have got individually rare diseases.
I started working at CASK in 2000 when I was a young postdoc, starting my postdoc in Boston, America, in Leslie Griffith's lab.
Where we have conditions like CASK, where we don't have a huge amount of information about the natural history of these conditions and what works best for the various different symptoms and difficulties, then we don't have national guidance, we don't have agreed professional guidance to help us to know how best to manage children. So we do the best we can using medicines and techniques that we know work with other children, but we don't have that sort of detailed information about what might be specific to children with CASK mutations and what therefore might be the absolute very best treatments.
Something you might have if you have a CASK mutation is epilepsy. So can you find new epileptic treatments which improve your quality of life, or maybe improve sleep for people with CASK, help them sleep better so that their health increases and their cognition increases?
Epilepsy, we know, is a big problem for some children, and we're getting better, I think, at working out which anti-epileptic drugs are best for children with certain sorts of problems.
An amazing thing with CASK is how molecularly conserved it is from flies to humans, which makes the results which we find in flies translatable to humans. So you have mutations over genes, a well-annotated genome. There's lots of tricks you can do with genetics to do genetic experiments, which are really powerful for looking at genetic diseases and rare genetic diseases. So an experiment which we did in our lab was show that if you remove CASK completely from the fly, they have learning difficulties, which is one of the symptoms of CASK mutations in humans. And we wanted to know, does human CASK act in a similar way to fly CASK? So what we did was a clever fly genetic experiment where we reintroduced the human CASK gene back into the memory centers of a fly which doesn't have any of its own fly CASK in, and we found that that completely rescued its memory. And that shows that it's acting in the same way in the both animals. And if you look at the sequences, they are 70% identical, so they're very conserved in sequence, which suggests it's a very important protein.
While CASK mutations are rare, their impact is far-reaching. Worldwide, it is estimated that thousands are affected, although due to its complex nature, most of these cases remain completely undiagnosed.
My hopes moving forward for the CASK Foundation is that we manage to obtain some funds to do some research into how we can make things better for children and families with CASK.
It's really important for CASK Research and rare genetic disease charities to fund research because a lot of research is based on supply and demand, so socio-economic impact. So I do quite a lot of research on Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, which affect a large number of people. We're going to get up to 1 million people in the country. So a lot of funding goes to Alzheimer's research, more to cancer. About a third of people will get cancer in their lifetime. Cardiovascular disease, BHF, they get a third because so many people are affected. So a lot of funding goes that way. There's large charities involved in that.
Big Pharma is not particularly interested in funding things for very small numbers of individuals because the finances just don't stack up.
Charities, it's harder to attract their funding. So in order to tackle these important questions, it's important to have those specialist charities working together.
We need to have hope, and we need to keep pushing for that, and we shouldn't give in, and we shouldn't think something is too impossible for our children because they deserve it.
The future of CASK research offers hope for affected families. Early diagnosis, tailored therapies, treatments that will improve the quality of life of our children.
Our approach to life is a bit like Henry's, just never give up and try and find the joy in the little things like going for walks, or Henry's favourite thing is just repeatedly bashing over toys or watching Hey Doggy or having cuddles. Yeah, see? Clever boy.
Please support us.
And visit thecaskcoalition.com.